Hey friends, Sean from Draft Therapy here, and on today's review for you, this beer is like the original Twister. Stuff of Legend is a 13.3% bourbon barrel aged stout from Boulevard Brewing Company in Kansas City, Missouri. I'm not real familiar with Boulevard Brewing stuff. I see it on shelves around me once in a while, but I think I've only had maybe one or two of the beers from their brewery. The last time was a couple years ago. I wanted to say it was like an IPA with a pink and a teal label, but when I saw the promise of a kind of boozy Oreo in a glass, I thought, where do I sign up? So let's take a look at the label. We'll get it into a glass, but first I'd like to thank my executive producers, Brian Kramer, David Jeffries, Chad Shirk, and Cam Freeman for helping to bring this review to you today. If you'd like to become a producer, help out the channel, maybe even just throw me a couple bucks and buy me a beer, take a look at my Patreon at patreon.drafttherapy.com, where you can get early access to these videos and a few other special perks available only to patrons, like some monthly giveaways I'm doing. I just finished my first one, about to start the newest one for November. So let's take a look at this. We'll take a look at the top. First off, it has a Boulevard Brewing Company, Kansas City bottle cap. It has, I'm assuming this is where the brewery where they brew the beer. On the front of the label, it says Boulevard Brewing Company in a blue, like a metallic blue label. And then looking down lower on the bottle, it says Kansas City, Missouri, Boulevard Brewing Company. The O in Boulevard is like a sandwich cookie. I'm going to say it's an Oreo. And then it says Stuff of Legend, a barrel-aged stout with vanilla and cocoa flavors. On the left here, it says since 1989. On the right, it says 12 fluid ounces. It's a barrel-aged stout with vanilla and cocoa flavors. I think I already said that. And it says limited release 2021. They do this, I'm guessing, every year. And then on the back, it says Stuff of Legend, barrel-aged stout, 13.3% alcohol by volume, 20 IBUs, brewed and bottled by Boulevard Brewing Company in Kansas City, Missouri. Please enjoy by September 23rd, 2023. You got a whole year to enjoy this. And it has more information at boulevard.com. I know on the 4-pack, I bought the 4-pack of this. It has more stuff about the beer on the 4-pack packaging. I don't have that with me right here. But we're going to crack it. I'm going to put it into the glass. I got myself a larger kind of snifter style glass. Nice amount of vapor rising out of the bottle. Let's put a nose on it. Definitely getting a big barrel, bourbon barrel kind of character aroma coming out of this bottle. You know, maybe a little bit of a vanilla as well. Let's go ahead and pour it. It's pretty dark coming out of it. It has like a real viscous, thick quality to the look of the pour. Very dark, very motor oil-esque. You know, some of these beers lately, when I pour, there's like a transparent stream. You can see through the beer as it pours. This was totally opaque. I didn't have to worry about seeing through it. We have about a quarter of a finger. We maybe had a half a finger of head at the max after this was poured. As you can see from the overhead, it has pretty much dissipated. Through the center, there is not really much of a head, just a little bit clinging on the edge of the glass, which makes it look like from your vantage point from the front that there is actually a head. There is not much going on here. If we hold it up to the light here, really dark. I mean, that is opaque, black. Even the bulb of this glass, you know, you can see in the bottom of the bulb, sometimes you can see like a reddish color, maybe a purple. This is really super dark brown, not quite black, but very dark. And let's put a nose on it. A lot more of a bourbon barrel characteristic coming through on the glass than it did in the bottle. It was coming through, but there's also a really rich cocoa aroma coming out of this too. So I was getting more of a vanilla out of the bottle, but in the glass itself, it's really smells like a really rich, fudgy kind of chocolate aroma. So let's just try it out. Cheers. So we always talk about mouthfeel first, even though it's hard to think about the mouthfeel with all this going on. The mouthfeel is really heavy. It's a nice thick stout. It's really borderline, like, I don't even know if I can say borderline. It's pretty syrupy. It's pretty thick. It has a nice thick quality. It coats your tongue really well. It clings to your tongue, which is a real refreshing change of pace from a lot of the barrel-aged stouts that I've had lately. With few exceptions, they've been super thin. You can tell that they've really been highly produced. They might, you know, they try and turn this around. They might say it's 12 months. Maybe it is. I don't know, in a bourbon barrel. But I don't know how long this one was supposedly stored in a bourbon barrel, but I can tell you it is not thin. You would not drink this and think that there's any kind of thin mouthfeel going on here. Let's talk about the flavor. So on the upfront, getting a little bit of a bourbon barrel characteristic. It's not too boozy. A lot of vanilla. It's very sweet on the upfront. So it has a bit of that bourbon characteristic. You know, a lot of that vanilla, a lot of this molasses kind of flavor that's going on in there. On the swallow, that's when you're getting this monumental, just massive amount of chocolate. Really rich, really fudgy, really thick, really just decadent, very decadent, fudgy chocolatiness just carrying out the rear on this. When I swish it around and you kind of I exhale a little bit through my nose, I can feel this bourbony kind of characteristic come through. It does, you know, you have that vanilla, that bourbon, that molasses kind of flavor up front, like I said. Then you get that chocolate, that rich, decadent chocolate fudginess on the tail end. But then it kind of does come back around. You get a little bit more of that sweetness. You get a little bit of that sweet kind of bourbon characteristic coming in on the finish. It is really that bourbon. It's not something that's overwhelming. It's not overpowering, but it's very nice to get the sensation of having it on the upfront with that sweet vanilla, and then getting it on the finish, on the follow-up, on the swallow. That's a really nice kind of touch because it lets you know, hey, this is bourbon barrel aged, but it's not hitting you all over the face. You know, it's not hitting you in the mouth with it. Not being too forceful on that bourbon kind of tip that it's got going on, but you have all those other flavors. You get the chocolate, you get the molasses, you get the vanilla that also gets to play in there, being wrapped in that kind of container of bourbon barrel, you know, aging and characteristic. Big time sipper. It's nice that even though, you know, you pour it, you don't get the impressive head because it was about a half a finger's worth of head. You don't get that really big, massive, impressive head, but that's also nice because it lets you know that it's not going to be too carbed. It's going to be nice and smooth. It's the carbonation isn't going to be interrupting any of that. It's just a nice kind of, you know, it's got a nice, just thicker flavor and not too overpowering. This is just a treat, to be honest with you. This is like I don't know if I could drink more than one of these because it is so decadent, so rich, so thick. This is like a nightcap, a nice beer to kind of end off a night. Maybe you're just having one beer and you want to or you're celebrating something. It's not quite a pastry stout. It's not quite that sweet, but it has a lot of sweetness, a lot of rich, you know, fudgy characteristic like I talked about earlier. If you're looking for one beer to kind of celebrate, maybe share with friends, or just to finish off a hard day's work, or just, you know, just kind of get relaxed, this would be a nice one to sip on. You don't have to feel like you got to chug it. 13.3%. It's not boozy, but it definitely has that bite to it, and it lets you know that it's got that high ABV without letting you know it has that high ABV. Really fantastic stuff from Boulevard. All right, friends, that has been Stuff of Legend from Boulevard Brewing Company in Kansas City, Missouri. Have you had this beer? Do you have another maybe cookie beer you think I should check out? Or do you have a favorite really thick stout like that, like a end of the night nightcap that you'd like to share? Let me know in the comments down below while you're down there. If you like beer, you might want to subscribe and click that bell. I'm here talking about beer twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's all for free for viewers just like you. And you might miss your newest favorite, or you might not know to avoid a clunker if you're not subscribed and getting those notifications. So until next time, I'm Sean from Draft Therapy. Thanks for stopping by. Remember, drink craft beer, support your local breweries. These guys are in Kansas City, Missouri. And most importantly, don't forget to treat yourself to a little draft therapy. Thanks for watching, everybody. Cheers, and see you next time. Later.